Yeah.
I mean, I was just
Call to order. Looks like we have everyone here for determination of quorum, so it's good to have everybody here this afternoon. So I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Do we have any additions, deletions, or adoptions to the agenda tonight? I have one, but I'll check with you guys and see if there's any others. No? After item 9, the Keystone presentation, we need to add, I'm going to say 9A for public comment. I'm going to add public comment for the Keystone project.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Okay. All right. The conflict of interest statement. In accordance with state law, it is the duty of every council member to avoid conflicts of interest. Does any council member have any known conflict of interest with respect to any matter on the agenda? If so, please identify the conflict and refrain from any participation in the matter involved.
I do.
You do have conflict?
Item 12A.
12A, okay. All right. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move forward. Thank you, Brandon. Mayor, council member reports. Anyone have anything to comment on?
I'll just mention that we do not have a WUMA meeting in July,
Okay.
so our next one will be in August. And to be honest with you, I'll have to check with Karen about where it's going to be because we redid the schedule for the next year, and I'll have to get that published, or I can let y'all know at the August meeting.
Gotcha. Okay, great.
Let me say,
Okay,
I'll go down the line.
sure.
Well, thank the Rotary Club of Waxhaw Weddington for putting the flags up again on the 4th of July this year. They've done it every year for a number of years now at their expense and time and labor. So give them a shout out for that. And if anybody's interested in going to their Rotary Club, it meets 7:30 Thursday morning at the Swim and Racket Club, and visitors are welcome. And there's basically a free breakfast for you, and there'll be an interesting speaker.
Good,
And
good.
past mayor Craig Horn is the president of the club currently.
Cool. All right. Thank you. And those flags look great every, 4th of July,
Yeah.
Memorial Day. Just awesome. Thank you. Public comment.
I won't be here in August
Oh,
in terms of a report, council member report.
okay. I'm sorry, Brandon.
No problem.
Thanks.
Anyone else may be missing? Okay, so we'll move forward to public comment. Okay. Okay, Gail Butler.
Glasses on because I can't.
You have 3 minutes, correct?
It's really 4,
4 minutes? 4 minutes.
but that's all right. I won't take that much.
Okay.
I come with a heavy heart because what I have to say isn't that great. I don't know, Jeff, how much or what we have to tell you about the Overtown overlay. We do not want it. We spent a lot of money on consultants, and I would consider maybe 6 figures on them telling you that we did not want it. And with that being said, it's not our fault that the council overlooked that when they did. I'm sorry. That's your problem. That wasn't ours. And I am just firmly in belief that we do not want to extend our commercial or allow Paliska this grant or whatever you're getting to do. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ellen?
Good evening, council members. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
This is also in regards to the overlay and text amendment changes. So, I Love Lucy, The Brady Bunch, MASH, Friends, The Office. What do these things have in common with the Polifka meeting of January 13th? They're reruns. And just like those classic shows, today's meeting feels like deja vu. It's a repeat airing of the same proposal that we've already seen. Just like syndicated episodes that are aimed to squeeze more revenue from an original broadcast, this proposal for Polifka is an attempt to add more buildings in the hopes of increasing the property's future value. It's a rehash and a reintroduction of arguments that we heard 6 months ago, dressed up in slightly different language, but pushing the same end goal. Let's not lose sight of what's really happening here. This isn't just about a few new buildings. It's the beginning of a slippery slope towards expanding the commercial footprint, pushing the overlay further, creeping development outward, and laying the groundwork for sewer access and higher density in the future. And yet, here we go again. We've seen this playbook before. We say yes once, and it opens the door to more. And that is the real plan. This proposal was rightly rejected in January. They are welcome to reapply after a year, but instead are seeking a shortcut, using a text amendment to slip the same proposal through the back door. It's a loophole, a workaround, a rerun, hoping this time the outcome will change. I urge you, vote no again. Don't allow this rerun to become the series finale for our community's integrity. Let's keep this change where it belongs, in the archives. Thank you in advance for protecting our town and rejecting this change.
Cool. Thank you, Ellen. Clayton Jones?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Clayton Jones, and I live on Panhandle Circle. Lived there with my family for 27 years come this August. Polifka, I call it Dracula. It has been killed and buried 3 times. It has risen from the dead once again and is sucking the blood of our citizens. The citizens of Weddington have spoken loudly. They want to keep the existing commercial overlay. It's time to drive a stake through the heart of Polifka. Bury it. Let it rest in peace. Don't waste your time and the staff's time and these citizens' time to keep coming back again and again on a non-issue. There are more important things that you should be doing. Get to it.
Thank you. Annette Baker? Annette Baker? Oh, sorry. Didn't see you coming.
I'm Annette Baker. I live on Grayland Drive, and I've been here for 37 years this October. I moved here because I like the small town, I like the R40, and I like the low taxes. I oppose any changes to our downtown overlay. When we moved out here, Waxhaw, it was a quaint little town. And now, if you look at it, it's just like every other town, full of businesses. I don't want that here. You know, we've got a small community. If you want it, all you have to do is drive a couple miles and you can get all the stuff you want. So I totally oppose any changes to the zoning of our downtown area. I wish that we could put in a town council that would quit trying to change Weddington. Weddington should be what it was when it was established in the 80s. And that's why people moved here. That's what they want. They want the large lots. They want a small town. They don't want all this commercial growth. Every survey since I've been out here that's been done has been a waste of taxpayer dollars because it shows the same thing every time. People want you to leave Weddington the way it was set up. Thank you.
Thank you. Chad?
Good evening, Chad Ryan, Eagle Road. I wanted to discuss two things on the agenda tonight. The first is the discussion of areas deemed environmentally sensitive. This is something in both the old and the current land use plan, and I'm happy you're having a discussion on it. We've seen some devastating developments that were approved prior to this current town council. The steps you've made in adopting the land use plan and the UDO are critical for preserving Weddington and what makes this town so desirable to live in. This was mentioned a year ago, and I know there's been a lot to address with limited staff, so I'm happy you're getting to this discussion and can enhance the UDO and protect environmentally sensitive land in our town. The second is the discussion of the downtown core overlay. I don't understand why this is a topic of discussion. The land use plan is pretty clear, and it has been for multiple versions. Surveys, as mentioned, has been very clear. We have limited staff and many things to accomplish. It seems like this is way beyond the normal scope and process. Nothing can be changed here until we have another survey in a couple years and see if public sentiment has changed. The commercial on the other side of Providence Road was a controversial and polarizing decision back then. At first it was 5 buildings, then 3, then 1. Even then, the 3 council members that voted yes for this lost in their next election in part to this decision. It was built as a corporate headquarters with 1 building and some limited commercial below. Any change to that alters this significantly because it becomes more commercial. In the 12 years since we've seen massive amounts of commercial develop all around us, very short distances, including like Waxhaw that was mentioned. The only additional commercial we want is what's in the current designated overlay. 3 of the council members ran on limiting this commercial, and I ask that any direction to staff to work on this be denied. Any effort here is a waste of staff's time and against the direction of the majority of the residents. Thank you for all you do to serve Weddington and keeping it a special place.
Thank you, Chad. Jared?
This is my first time speaking here, so I'm going to set a little timer just so I don't lose track of time.
4 minutes.
4 minutes, right? My name is Jared, Jared Polivka. I'm a proud North Carolinian. I went to school in New Bern High School, elementary school, middle school, and high school in New Bern. And I attended the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Now, my uncle Basil, he bought that property in 2007. And in 2009, 2010, and 2011, while I was a student at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, I would do a couple trips per year to accompany my dad, talking to our town council, talking to residents of Weddington. And at that time, there was a overgrown lot. And it was an empty building. It was an ugly building, and it was overgrown. My uncle wanted to put a beautiful building there that was on brand with the town of Weddington. Now, I come in peace, okay? I promise you I'm not a vampire, so please do not stake me. I think that was it Clayton? That was you. So I am not a daywalker, so please do not put a stake in my heart, sir. But I just wanted to say that we always believe in doing things with our neighbors, like the Polivka family, and we like to go by the book. And in 2012, when the zoning was approved and our plan was approved to build the building that is there now, we built exactly what we promised. Exactly what we promised. So we have a track record of doing exactly what we say. And we're not liars. So, all right. So if anybody wants to reach out, I really encourage you guys to, I've emailed everybody on the council. I'd love to meet with you all individually. And I'd also like to give my phone number and email out to everybody in the audience. You can put it in the public minutes. My phone number is 330-883-3032. Again, it's 330-883-3032. 883-3032. You can text me. You can schedule a half-hour meeting with me anytime. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out about what we're doing. And we are going to reapply in January. And I should go back and also address it. We have a minute and 55 seconds left, but I just want to address a couple of things that kind of came up. So let's see. Every survey that has been done, from what I know, most surveys that have been done in this town have been less than 3%, which is not statistically significant. And I don't know, but it seems like the people that are very active in these surveys, I don't know if they speak for the other 97% of the population. So if you think that they speak for everyone, then okay. The other thing I'd like to address is a shortcut seeking. This is a rerun. This is not a rerun. We were zoned mixed use in 2012, and there was not a downtown overlay at that time. Now, earlier, I'm listening, it sounds like an overlay was not wanted. I was not aware of that, but it sounds like an overlay was not ever even wanted. So if no overlay existed, we wouldn't even be having this discussion right now, right? Like logically. I mean, does that make sense? Or, yeah, so if the overlay was never wanted to begin with, we have 44 seconds left. I just wanted to address these things, but you know what? Text me, 330-883-3032, or email me, jaredpalifka@gmail.com. And I'd love to speak with everybody on council and the planning board and address any of these issues. I think that's all I have to say. We believe in responsible development. We believe in working with our neighbors. We believe in being transparent. And I'm happy to get coffee at the bagel spot. I'm also happy to welcome you to our office. And I did want to address one other thing, which is I have 11 seconds left, which is our company is growing, so we actually need office space for our employees. So that's also part of why we want it. So that's my time. So thank you.
Thank you for coming. Okay. All right. No more public comments. We'll move forward to public safety report. Is Deputy Wren nearby? Nobody
I
here.
saw him earlier. I saw a
Okay,
deputy earlier.
you must, okay. So we'll just move past that and see what happens. Okay, presentation from Keystone Custom Homes. You guys come on up and we'll have public comment concerning this just right after this.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. This is our second project in Weddington that we're presenting to you today. We actually don't have a formal name yet, so we're just using the address, 3009 Forest Lawn. Next slide, please. Just want to kind of give a quick recap of where we're at, where we started. February 19th was when we started our due diligence on this piece of land. That's when we discovered that there was sewer in the back, so this project has public sewer from Union County. April 11th, we did our original sketch plan, worked with Greg, planning staff, to make sure that we were checking all the boxes there. May 2nd, and then we had a revision June 6th of the yield plan. Our original one had 11, our revised one had 12 lots. I'll show that to you momentarily. April 29th is when we had our on-site charrette, where we had some of the general public attending. And May 28th, we also had another on-site meeting. That was the community meeting. And then we did another meeting, community meeting in the town offices June 19th. So we had 2 community meetings on this project. And then in general, we've had multiple meetings with the planning director, some virtual, some in person. Again, our objective is to make sure that we're checking the boxes and we're doing things correctly according to the UDO. And if there's any gray areas that we can get clarity on what it is that we need to present. So this is the yield plan. It has 12 lots on it. This is a non-cluster. As you can see, we're utilizing the entire parcel area. It's one road in. There's really no other way to kind of develop this other than having that one road. Based on the UDO, we did have to break and do a secondary road going to the adjacent parcel. That's a requirement by Weddington. Next slide, please. This is the site plan as we have it today. It's still 12 lots. It is cluster. The main objective here is we're shortening the road a little bit. We have a lot of tree save area to the right, and I have a more of a graphic that we can show you after the fact. But again, some of the stats are in the data table over onto the left. And I know we're going to talk about the pond in a minute. Right now, that one is just a sketch, but I will go into the details on that in the next slides. So for this one, I have all the layers turned on here, so it's a little overwhelming, but I'm going to break this up for you. This site plan has all the trees, because we did do a tree survey in anticipation of the text amendment that you guys are going to be doing after our presentation. We did work with staff. Bill from planning had a lot of things to say that we kind of took into our development. So we're trying to adhere as best as possible to that new text amendment, even though we're grandfathered. You can see the 100-foot buffer is being respected. That's where we have some proposed trees. Currently today, there are no trees there. And then the pond itself, you can see to the bottom right hand. Next slide, please. This is an aerial, and if you can distinguish the red boundary around the development, that is the extent of what the development is comprised of. Everything outside of that will not be touched. So all that forested area, including some of the mature trees, will not be touched. Next slide, please. This is the pond. We're just kind of doing a zoom in. We know that there's a critical aspect to that. We have done a full design on the pond. So this is not a Mickey Mouse sketch. This is actually how the pond is anticipated to be. And you can see the 4 bays and the outlets, the grading. You can see there's a lot of contours on there. So we're kind of going to the lower part of the property. Next slide, please. And I figured what's better than visuals. So what I did was, if you can see on the inset to the left, what's circled in red is where I was standing, taking pictures of the areas that we will not be touching. Those are mature trees in the forefront. Everything behind it will not be touched, in addition to the mature trees, the heritage trees specifically. Next slide, please. This is to the rear of the property, the rear of the development specifically, as far as up to the developable area. Again, I'm taking pictures of some of these heritage trees, and you can see the surrounding trees around there give you that full forest effect. Next slide. This is the inset to the right-hand side of the property. And as you can see, we have the heritage trees right near the driveway, and everything beyond that to the back of it is, again, not touched. All of that remains in place, even though they're not heritage trees. And this is a question for council. We need guidance. We're not sure which is the priority here. So in the original site plan that we showed, we are showing a 100-foot buffer. If you've been to the property, there are those 4 heritage trees that are highlighted in green. They are majestic trees. In our original plan, we do have to remove them. There's just nowhere else to go. However, I had my engineer say, hey, how can we save this? If we shifted 2 of the lots towards the front, we would have to reduce the buffer to 50 feet. Now, granted, we would plant that entire area, so it will still contain the screening, but in this plan, we can save the trees. So we're not sure which is the priority, and we're just looking for guidance on that. That's it.
Okay. And council, this is our informal meetings where we can give feedback and suggestions, comments, concerns, and that kind of thing. And I should, open it up to you guys.
How many acres total is it on?
17. Right, Casey? Yeah. Yep.
It's on public sewer, but well water.
No, it's public water as well. Yep, there's a hydrant right in the front.
So if you do the 50-foot buffer instead of the 100, which is what we require,
Yes,
those are 4, I call them huge heritage trees.
correct. We can save those.
Why can't you do the 100-foot buffer and still save the trees?
And we knew that question would come up.
Yeah.
Because of the clustering effect, there's nowhere else to go with the 12 lots. So we're trying to respect the back end of the property because of all of the forestry that's there. So by pushing everything towards the front and keeping the 100-foot, I've got to remove those trees. I've got a street there, and I've got some lots. We did try initially moving some of the house pads, if you will. We were able to save maybe a handful, but nothing significant. Yes.
Would you consider increasing the sales price on 10 homes and then having the 100-foot buffer, the heritage trees, and still your bottom line profit?
We can't control the market,
No,
unfortunately.
but if you do, 10 homes that are nicer that you can sell for a little, I understand that you have to make money.
Right. And I appreciate the question. We actually did look at running the numbers on 10 homes. Because of the development costs, we can't make the numbers work on 10. That's why we're kind of really intent on trying to hold to the 12.
And you're restricted in going further back because of the topography issues back there, correct?
The topography does not help, correct?
Because I know it goes down, then it goes to. a
It,
floodplain
it does go
as well.
down towards the creek, yeah,
Yeah, which restricts you on buildable land there.
correct.
I mean, I have an issue with, those are nice trees up there, that, I'd love to, see you save those. And plus, we're pretty tight on our 100-foot buffer. I mean, we just, enacted that last, 8 months or so. And I know you mentioned also, even you made the comment, even though we're grandfathered, as you know, we're conditional zoning, so I don't see anything as grandfathered. So I would encourage you guys to try to figure out a way. But let me ask you this too. Can you describe your homes? Are they crawl space? Are they slab? What are your home?
If you want to go to the next slide, I can actually show some of our homes.
Okay.
Yeah, those are some of our elevations. And that's the interior. We actually won awards on the kitchens and the baths recently.
What's your price point?
We're definitely going to be over 1.2, maybe 1.5. By the time we actually get to market, it'll probably be higher. It takes a while before we can actually get the houses on the market.
Because I was concerned. I see your information on Facebook, social media. And you're building in different, areas, Waxhaw and whatnot. It says right up top, we pride ourselves in, starting at, in the mid sixes for entry level. I think in your Waxhaw neighborhood, it's like mid sevens or something like that. My concern was, at that price point, if you had said that, well, yeah, and negatively affecting the homes around you, I guess.
Yeah, no, of course.
And
yeah.
that's my concern. I don't want to bring down value from property owners around you by bringing in a lower product that you're advertising on social media, promoting out there in other neighborhoods.
Yeah, well, and everything's neighborhood based.
And there's not a way to do a 1.5 to 1.8, like just increase the value of the 10 homes?
We are client based in terms of the selection and the capabilities of what can be built into the home. So the marketing strategy of Keystone Homes is we advertise a base price, but 99.9% of the time, no one gets a base because it's really base. So by the time you add on, we have over 8,000 selection criteria. It takes a long time to select. We can move walls, we can bump things out, we can change everything on these homes. So it's almost truly customizable. So to that effect, we are typically seeing our clients add anywhere from $300,000 to maybe $400,000 of additional structural options and upgrades.
Now, these,
Question, the trees, I think it's 4 in there.
Yes, there are
Yeah,
4.
I think I was out there at one of the visits. And will they be on private property or communal property?
That would be communal property.
Would they be protected? They
Yes.
couldn't get-
Correct. No, that would be common open
You
space.
couldn't have somebody say, oh, it's in my backyard, therefore.
No. Well, on this version, yeah, on this version, we would create that as common open space. That would be completely protected.
now, we did a lot of work to our ordinances, as you know, and we reworked the cul-de-sac ordinance.
Right.
Basically eliminating cul-de-sacs unless you have to have a cul-de-sac. And even then, it can be no longer than 400, 500 feet.
Right.
What is the length of this cul-de-sac as presented?
I thought it was 600 feet.
Well,
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So the whole thing is 600 feet, but we broke it according to the UDO as far as where we drew that side road. So that's maxed out at the UDO. Was it 300, I guess? Or-
So so the straight all the way back is 600 feet?
Yep. Correct.
So going back to you mentioned your price points. That price point is with all the additions that you're saying that people add, or is that your base price point, then you add to it?
We haven't fully established the base price point at this point yet. We typically do that about 4 months before we're going to go to market. We're probably a year from that.
So how do we know those price points are not going to be like what you're advertising in social media?
Well, it would be to our benefit to have a higher price point based just on profit. So we will not undersell ourselves. Yeah.
Right, and I understand. I'm just,
Yeah.
trying to determine, I don't want, us feel like we're getting one thing, being sold one thing, and now we're getting something else when we see the sticks going up.
Yeah.
And now you're negatively affecting the homes around you in that area. I don't want, I tell everybody, we're going to do this number. We're going to elevate everyone and not come in and do this number here.
So let me reference a project that we did.
They are elevating that area.
Yes, we had a project called the Vineyards.
Mhm.
And in that one, our model home was $2.2 million, just as an example. So depending on the market and depending on where we're at, the price points are completely comparable.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, are these slab or crawl space?
These would be crawl.
Crawl, okay.
Well, I'm sorry, the rear ones would probably be basements because of the topography.
Gotcha, okay. Average, just guesstimation of square footage,
3,500 to 6,000 typically.
35 to 6,000,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Any questions? Anything?
Is that
Jessica?
still, because that's on the border, would they still be Weddington High School zoned?
Okay. So like you said, you have water and sewer.
We have water and sewer, public
Okay.
water and sewer, yeah.
And you're working with Greg on our new additions, with our ordinance changes and whatnot to,
Correct.
again, us being conditional.
Yep.
I don't see the grandfather thing. So just making sure we follow all of that.
Yeah, we took a lot of that into account. We actually met with Greg. There was a little couple gray areas that we just kind of needed to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
So we respectfully just tried to adapt to that.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. No more questions from you guys? Okay. All right. All right. So
All right.
no, thank you. And we might have a question or two
Sure.
after a public comment. So we're going to open it up for public
Okay.
comment
Sure
for
thing.
this.
Thank you.
Clayton?
Hello, once again, Clayton Jones, Panhandle Circle. I've actually just a brief oral comment on the Keystone project. I've printed up a two-page, and I'm not going to read it. I've made a copy for every member of the council, the mayor, made a copy for Keystone staff. I was hoping the Helms would be here. I don't see him. But just briefly, I went to the second public meeting, part 2, I guess, here in the town hall. And it was that first time that I met the Helms, and I instantly formed a bond with them. I
They're the
guess
owners of the property?
the owners of the property, if I'm correct. Is that right? Very nice folks. And this project is not going to impact me severely where I live, but I certainly, where I live, I go down Forest Lawn Road all the time. I see Mr. Helms out there cutting the grass. My wife said she saw him cutting the grass today. And for there, I'd like to see this succeed for them, if possible. But I tell you, the hair stood up on the back of my neck when, during the presentation, he mentioned grandfathered. And Bill Dieter, during the second meeting, told him, said, man, you got grandfathered, you just got to take that out of your lexicon because this is conditional zoning. And unlike Deal Lake, where it seems to me, at least in my humble opinion, it seemed like the contractor in Dill Lake dug their heels in and said, we're grandfathered in, we're not going to do it, and you can't make me do it. And that's just not going to go anywhere. That's going to waste your time, your money, and I don't want to see that to happen to the house. So I hope this can go forward. I hope you work with the planning board, with Greg over here, and ultimately with the town council. Give them what they need to make an educated decision. And if I can, I'll hand out the full version here.
Sure. Okay.
And that concludes my comments.
Okay. Great. Okay, thank you, Clayton. Yeah, I will say, too, just to you guys, make sure you work tight with the planning board. Yeah, and because, we are tightening up everything. Some ordinances that you may not be familiar with that have changed. Those guys are going to, when you go before them, they're going to really just tighten it up, whereas maybe last time things weren't as they are now. So I just, just make sure you work, really good with those guys and get good input from them. So anything else, you guys? Awesome. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you coming.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Do you want to get the public safety report now?
Yeah. I'd like to move back. Are you guys okay moving back to public safety? I'd like to do the public safety comments. Deputy Wren, you want to come on up?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Public. Thank you so much for having us. I apologize for the inconvenience for not being here on time. We tend to pride ourselves on certain things. First thing we pride ourselves on is being on time. Second thing is answering your calls for service. So we'll go ahead and get started. Month compared to June. So we're going to go from May to June. So we had 71 911 hangups in the month of June. We had 1 to 2 abandoned vehicles compared to 0 in May. The reason that we're really going to put this number in there is because we've all seen the Spectrum trucks or the Google Fiber. We've encouraged people to call if you don't know it. If you don't realize that that's either Google Fiber and or some type of Spectrum truck putting in wire, if it looks abandoned, call us, let us investigate. So that's why we had 2 compared to 0. 1 ABC investigation. I don't know if you've all heard about the ABC,
No.
either the news or the ABC investigation. That's what that one was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So from accidents, we had 21 in May compared to 31 in June. Alarms, we answered 38 compared to 43. People coming home from vacations and resetting. So burglary to a home and or business went from 2 to 4. Business checks, we went from 79 to 108. So we stepped up there. Domestic disturbances went from 6 to 3. People went out of vacation, took their problems with them. Drug activity went from 5 to 1. Preventive patrols was us being in your neighborhoods, us being at your churches, us being where you need us and want us and see us. Went from 652 to 705. So that's a lot of our school resource officers doing what they can to step up and helping us out on patrol. We really highly encourage them to get into the neighborhoods, see the kids that they are with every single day. So whether it's the high school SRO, the middle school, and or elementary, they're getting in your neighborhoods and seeing the same kids and building that rapport all over again. So that's why we stepped up from 652 to 705. So traffic stops went from 152 to 112. Trespassing went to 9. Now, the big thing about the trespassing is call us. It's going to get reported if you call us. We're stepping up that number from 0 to 9 because we encourage you to call us. A lot of that is reverting back to the Google Fiber, the Spectrum, and or whoever's in your neighborhood. You didn't know that they're supposed to be there. Next thing you know, you're calling about trespassers on your property. 9 times out of 10, whenever I get there, I want to educate on 2 things: who can and can't be on your property, and who can because of the easement. We won't beat that or feed that dead horse while we're here, but call us and we'll be more than happy to come out and educate. I presented a lot of problems. Let's present some solutions. Once again, going back to feeding that dead horse, lock your cars. Okay, now we've locked them. Now what else can we do? One of my favorite things is just take your key fob and go to bed with it. Put it next to your nightstand. If you have multiple key fobs, set them up strategically around the house. Do not turn your lights on if you think there's something out there. Hit your SOS, hit your emergency. If you're wearing a smartwatch, if you have your cell phone, we're coming. We have great coverage right now, whether it's a school resource officer or one of your 5 Weddington deputies, we're coming. So if you think someone's in your car or in your neighbor's car because you're the insomniac in your neighborhood, call us. Get a hold of us. Set off your alarm. That does multiple different things. There's camera systems within a house, whether the interior and or exterior. Those flashing lights for the alarm is going to give us a timestamp. We can go back a little bit. It's going to help us out on our flock camera systems where someone's coming in and out. Little things of that nature is going to really continue to build our case. I'm going to have to get a little doom and gloom on you. There's a lot of people here that have access to a creek, maybe access to a pool. This is not something that we enjoy talking about, but it really needs to strike home. If you have a pool, if you're near a creek, get to know your property, get to know who's around your property. Just on the radio today, we had someone pass away from a drowning. We've come really close here in Weddington to recently. Even if you don't have small children, even if your neighbor doesn't, even if there's not a school near you, please, 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 please be careful. I'm not saying cover it up every night. I'm not saying that you have to put up a remote camera system. I'm just saying be cognizant of what's around you. Boys tend to go to creeks. Girls tend to stay near pools. If you see us out in your woods looking for a missing child, just know we're going to a creek and we're going to a body of water. Kids love to swim. That's one of the first places that we're looking. Drone activity. Nope. Haven't seen it. It's got to be one of ours. If it's not one of ours and you don't see me around, if you don't see one of the other town deputies and or someone else looking like me and you see a drone, call us. Call us immediately. We'll do what we can to get out there and maybe disrupt some service and make sure that they're not doing anything that they shouldn't. Once again, it's beautiful weather out there. Watch out for kids in neighborhoods. Watch out for certain things. I know this sounds stupid. Hydrate. If you're out walking, you don't have to carry the water bottle with you, but continue. Even if you're not thirsty, continue to hydrate. I'm going to be out there if I cooler with it, I have to. I have absolutely no problem coming out there to assist, but be cognizant of what's around you. I'm going to go out for a 5-10 minute walk with the dog. It's hot out there. Be careful where the dogs are walking and stepping. I know that sounds pretty bad, but we're getting multiple calls about people seeing the dogs walking in this hot road. I know that sounds a little minute, but guess what? We're coming out there to that too. If you're at Harris Teeter and you see a kid locked in a car, call me. I love to go out to those. I'm more than happy to come out. That doesn't seem like much, but we've had a couple of those lately. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Even though you mentioned these things, Sheriff Cathy told me last week, he said Weddington and Marvin are considered the safest towns in the state of North Carolina. And also Lieutenant May said that same thing a couple weeks ago. So I still feel that we have a great town. It's a safe town. I appreciate what you guys are doing. And as mentioned in those flock cameras, we're in the process of getting those up now. They're marking the pavement and they should be in the next several weeks. So you'll have those in your back pocket to use as well.
Excellent. Well, I can't say thank you enough, not only for reaching out, but we had a vehicle chase today, and he did any and everything he could to avoid this area. We ended up catching him in South Carolina, went over there and talked to him for a little bit. And as they are talking to him, I'm overhearing the fact that he knows not to come to Union County. And we really take pride in that because you afford us the ability to do our job. You afford us the ability to support us. I know whether it's the sheriff or myself, we say it all the time, just thank you. You're the foot soldiers. You see it, you live it, you breathe it. I'm just here helping. I can't say thank you enough.
No, and thank you. And again, Sheriff Cathy, says that kind of thing. It makes you feel good. Weddington, Marvin, two safest towns in North Carolina. That means a lot. So thank you.
That means a lot to us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Consent.
Mayor, if I may interrupt for a moment,
Oh, sure.
I have some reason. I have two versions of the agenda. In your packet, there is the audit contract, but it's not on the consent agenda. And so I just want to make sure that it gets put on the agenda, on the consent agenda to approve the 24-25 audit contract with Kendra Gangle in an amount not to exceed $10,000. It was in the packet. It just didn't make it to
Okay.
to
No,
one
that's-
version of the.
That's fine. Do we need to have a amendment to
That's
that?
just in case. I mean, I have
Okay.
it on mine, but I don't know if everybody else has it on there. So
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead and make that amendment.
okay. Can I,
I'll make the amendment and add the audit contract to the agenda. Does it need to be 10D?
yes,
Is that appropriate?
yes. Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Can I get a motion on approving the consent agenda as presented here?
So moved.
So moved. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, we'll move forward. Old business. I'm going to open up public hearing for that. Did we have a sign up for public hearing? Okay. But I'll go ahead and ask Greg to go ahead and comment, if you would, but Debbie's getting that.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. So this is a adoption of a new fee schedule. So fee schedules have to be posted online, and there has to be a public hearing anytime you raise or change any fees applicable to the town. So typically these fees apply to anything that you would apply for. It's a municipal service, but many of our fees are subdivision related. A summary of this adoption is simply that we're increasing fees primarily on developers for the work and time that it takes to process these. The fee schedule, for example, had previously a flat fee of about $1,600, $1,650 for conditional zoning application, regardless of content, size, scope. And the example I've given previously and publicly was Deal Lake, took 1.5 years of time. That's staff time, that's the public's time, that's the town council's time for a flat fee of $1,600. We've amended that to incorporate the acreage to at least make the scale of projects more fair and equitable. So like Aria, for example, a project that was recently approved, that's 8 lots. That has a lower fee than something that would be 90 lots. So that's a minor change. Permit fees are raised all around. We receive approximately 300 zoning permits a year. We just concluded our fiscal year for that count, and we'll now separate accessory structures like a garage or a shed from pools. So pools take more time. They require surveys to be done. They have to be outside of any easements, and they need a contractor specifically to show that on a survey. So that's a dedicated line item now so that we can keep track over time of how many pools we get, and also require a final survey at the time of completing the project so we can verify that the pool is in the correct location. We were getting, doodles on a map of where a pool should be, and it turned out that it moved over time. It never has resulted in any property issues, but we just want to tighten that process up as well. But these fee schedules are typically incorporated in the budget, so it's usually just inserted into your packet. It's kind of a nondescript line item in the budget, and that's where that public comment session would go. But we want to have an explicit public hearing and public comment session for these fees because they are increasing so much.
Okay, all right, thank you. Before we comment as a council, I'm going to have for sign up for a public comment or public hearing. Chad, you signed up for a public hearing for this?
No, that's for the 2B.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's still other signups.
Oh, there's no signups for this? Okay, great. Sorry about that. When you gave it to me, I thought it was before this. That's fine. Comments?
I have a question. And Leslie, you can probably answer this. How much last year did we collect in fees like this?
Zoning and permit fees were right at $30,000. Subdivision fees or $11,000.
So $40,000 is what we collected. Okay. Do y'all have any idea what this increase could do to that number? Project? Is there a projection? Does it go to 50, 60, or does it stay in? Does it meaningfully move?
I don't think it's very material.
Because my point is that the developer applies to the town. We have Greg, and if we get lucky, and hire an assistant, we're going to have considerably more expense than that. So it appears to me that the citizens of the town are heavily subsidizing the developers getting their projects approved. To where my thought is fees should be considerably higher. I'm not saying we're going to catch every dollar or get all the stuff, but at least reasonably compensate the town for what the town has to do. Because planning is a big part of what this town does, and oversight. Don't count our time or the rest of the staff, just Greg, and if we get the assistant, we need to have the number be reasonably close to what we're laying out.
The subdivision fee number is the one that has the most ability to fluctuate
I know they do.
significantly. And so if you're, by adjusting to the per acre.
And can I, if you're going to speak, can I get you to come to the mic? So the subdivision fee is the one that fluctuates the most, as you said?
Yeah, and it's the highest fee. I think that's where you were going from, what, 1,650 to 1,500 plus an acreage thing. When you have a large subdivision come in, that number can get high. We have not had anything that hasn't already been platted for the last few years, so that's why our subdivision numbers have been so low. But those are the numbers that are most flexible or fluctuating. The permit fees are 150, whatever.
There's no
You
money
yeah, you don't have enough per year to change that number significantly. It's the size of your subdivisions that are gonna be the ones that
I'm looking at the
fluctuate.
expense that the town really has to work on. Greg's time, I mean, he works a lot of hours, and he's the one, him and his salary, drives a lot of our expense on this. And trying to get the fees to reasonably catch a significant portion of that is my concept. I just don't know if we're still not moving the needle far enough with these fees.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at some of these developments, they're $50-60 million developments, and we might be charging them $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. It's a rounding error in their development expense.
the highest revenue should be collected at kind of this construction document phase, because you have a sheet, 300 sheets versus 1 or 2 sheets that's presented publicly at a public hearing. So we should collect the most revenue at the back end once it's already been approved by town council and me, and the engineers are reviewing, more technical items. For better or worse, we have not approved that many subdivisions, so therefore we're not collecting that kind of revenue. But as of now, we're in the month of July, so we're in the new fiscal year. We have 4 subdivisions under construction document review, so we'll make as much money on that in the next 2 months as we made all of last year.
Okay, that's where I want to be clear, because there is multiple phases of this process as it goes through. And I'm just trying to make sure the town or the citizens aren't, say, heavily subsidizing developers. That's my whole point. Just want to make sure we're catching what we should catch for the work that we're putting forward, or Greg's putting forward.
What do other towns, municipalities do in this regard? I mean, are our fees consistent? Are they commensurate with what other towns do? Are we charging less, or are other people charging less? Because, I mean, to your point, yes, we need to make sure we're covering the expenses that we're incurring.
Mm-hmm.
And on a $50 million project, a $3,000 fee it's nothing. But I am curious, how do we compare with, other municipalities our size, or if maybe this is just a procedural, regardless of the size, the same procedure applies?
So I did the research looking at our local area, looking at Marvin, Wesley Chapel, Mineral Springs, and Waxhaw. We all provide different services and have different structure of staff. So it's not necessarily apples to apples, but we are generally along the same lines as what everybody else charges now with this, including
With these changes.
right.
Okay.
It's not that they were that off before,
Right.
but I think adding in the per acreage, some of those additions in the fees, I think was what a lot of the other towns do.
So
Yeah.
how many hours does it take you when someone does a permit for a pool, for instance?
So we have here like I think a flat fee of $50. So it shouldn't take more than an hour to review a full document.
All phases.
Usually usually the application's incomplete. So there's the time to say, hey, you didn't submit what you're supposed to. These dimensions are wrong. This isn't
So
detailed
just
enough.
reflect that, because essentially people without pools are subsidizing people with pools. I mean,
Right.
like I think that whether we match or don't match is not really the point. We need to make the fees cover the expense of 1.5 employees. If that's what we're trying to do, is hire another part-time person to
Yeah.
help Greg.
We just have to be sensitive to make sure it's commiserate with staff time. So if something,
Right.
And the
Darcy
fee
and I were-
cannot be higher than the actual cost either.
Right.
Darcy
We're
and I
nowhere near there.
Right.
Darcy and I were talking and we were saying it's not necessarily comparative to the cost of the project or what neighboring communities are charging. It's using the pool as a very specific example. Right now, we have it set at $50. Does $50 cover the time, effort, energy, and expertise that it takes to get that permit in the door, completed and approved?
I'll say I can efficiently do it to cover that fee. I could there could be a pool application that's excellent. I review it, it takes 7 minutes.
Yeah, I would-
So
I think
try
you have to look
balance
at the average cost. You have pools that cost more and you've got pools that cost less.
But
So-
nobody has a pool's gonna start at 40 grand if it's in, you're not spending.
But the
$1,000
cost to
on a pool.
review the pool isn't affected by the
So
size of the
If
pool.
we're using the pool as an example, we're also adding a requirement for a certificate of compliance for the pool, another $50. So it'll be $100 to get the
Get 'em.
pool in and out, in the door and then out as approved.
Okay. All right. I mean, if Greg's happy, then, I think they look low, but
I looked at I looked at the county and I went to Davison and Davison and it's hard to compare sometimes apple to apples. People call things differently and whatnot. So I felt we were low in a few places and I would agree with council as it's going that I feel like it needs to be, and I appreciate tremendously what you guys, the research and the time that you guys have looked into it. And I guess Karen, I guess it was you. I appreciate tremendously that time and effort. I do still feel that we need to go up a little bit more. Would that be the consensus with
I
the
just want it
council?
to make sure that it covers their time and energy, because otherwise all the taxpayers are paying for developers and residents whenever they want to add anything to their home value, which we don't get. If they start giving me a portion of the sales profit that they're getting from these additions, great, then we can. But otherwise, they need to at least cover the town's time for the research it takes to say yes or no to these things. I don't know. You have to tell us if $50 is covering it, for an example, or.
Just the important thing to consider for some of these fees is we, unlike other municipalities, we don't handle, building permits in-house. That's done through the county. So that's the moneymaker right there. You can charge a percentage of the project value, but that involves staff time of inspecting it, looking at trade certifications, getting COs, all those things. Because we don't handle those functions, the county does it for us. We can't really account for that time or that revenue.
Gotcha. I looked at one of the other municipalities, conditional zoning for a new conditional zoning, and ours is 1,500, theirs is 2,000. I mean, these are maybe small numbers, but there's still a difference. The appeal of a decision of a zoning officer to the Board of Adjustments and application there, we have 500. Theirs was 1,000, it's twice the amount. And the minor subdivision, you have $55 per lot, and I saw 85, which those small numbers do add up. So I'm just wondering, are we there where we want to be, or do we, need to look at it and say, hey, let's do a little bit more? How do you guys feel about that?
I think my feelings are obvious. I mean,
To look to,
I just want it to cover his expense, and I can't imagine that these do. But if they say they do,
right, because they seem awful low to me, even though I know the research you guys did. Would you guys want to accept this as it is, or table it and do a little bit more looking into it and revisit this next month per se?
Well, there's two ways to look at it.
Okay.
One is, if we approve it today, it goes in effect.
Right. And you
go on
can
and start
continue to look
collecting.
at it.
Huh?
You can continue to look at it after
And you
it's,
can continue to look at
right.
it, but at least you've started and gotten somewhere to get us there. We may want to look at, revisit in a few months or whatever, and just get an idea, what is this generating? Is this doing what we think it's going to do or not? But it's going to take us to even get an idea, I think, of that. And if it's not,
Mhm.
then we come back and readdress it and say, well, we got to hit here, because we're just going underwater. And for the past number of years, we have subsidized builders, and
Right.
I don't think they're citizens. So I would say, let's go with what's been presented, review it in 6 months, and see where we're going. And that would give us time to look at it well in advance for next year.
Okay, we can start tracking our internal time during that time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me ask you this, would you have, council have any objection to those 3 areas that I saw that could go up? The conditional zoning district new, $1,500 now, go to 2,000,
No problem with that.
okay? It's only minor. The Board of Appeals adjustment down there is 500, go to 1,000,
No problem with that.
okay?
Give me
And-
just a second. I'm sorry.
I'm
just
sorry.
looking where you said Board of Appeals.
Yeah, it's closer
It's
to
the
the bottom
variance.
of the page down there. It says appeal a decision of zoning officer to Board of Adjustment and Application.
Okay.
You see that down
I
there?
do, yes.
Okay. That's 500 now and to 1,000.
Okay.
And the last one, under minor subdivision on the second page, pre-submittal sketch plan for easement lot. No, I'm sorry. It's the next line down there. Final plat submittal. It's 55 per lot. Just at least go to 85 per lot. I mean, that's small, but it would add up for a minor.
Greg, are you good with those?
Staff has no objection to that.
Okay.
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 Okay. All right.
And
So,
Sharon, you caught that, right?
yes.
okay. Then we'll,
I'll make a motion that we do the amended fee schedule with those 3 changes to it.
Can you
okay.
just, what was the third change again? It was on the final plat submittal.
Yeah,
You wanted-
exactly. Under minor subdivision,
You wanted to go from what to what?
from 55 to 85
To
is
85,
it's just
I see.
minor thing. Okay. All right. You made a
Made a motion.
motion. All in favor to adopt?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. We'll move forward on that. Can I get do I need a,
We still should review it in 6 months to see how we're
Yes.
progressing. I would really like to see that, so we can prepare for next year. We may need to revisit this.
do I need to do a motion for the consistency statement?
No,
as
not for
presented?
the fee schedule.
Not for this, okay. All right, so we'll move forward. New business, it's text amendment 2025-05, section D 917E. It's additional specific requirements for conventional residential development or minor subdivisions and all associated edits. I'm going to open up for a public hearing, and I'll have Greg go ahead and comment if you would, please.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. So this is effectively a reworking of our rules that apply to all residential development in town. As it's structured today, there are rules that apply to everyone that are under Section D 917A. There are additional rules for conservation developments because that is a trade-off for smaller lots, so they have additional requirements. That's 917B. Anything non-residential falls under 917C. Certain uses like daycare, schools, there are certain, very succinct additional rules for those. Those are under 917D. And but there's no real rules for strengthening just a subdivision application that we would receive, and we're receiving more of for a conventional type development. We had originally explored just making these rules apply to everybody and put it under what is referenced to D917A. Those rules would apply to anybody who did something new. But there were some private property concerns with that. For instance, saying that your property can't have any floodplain on it. It makes it unbuildable. That could reduce or eliminate the value of the property, be considered a regulatory taking. It could affect existing property owners who haven't actually done anything and have had the property for a long time, versus where the intention of staff and the council is to have these rules apply just to new subdivisions, just to new projects. And so a new section of code is intended to be created, which would be D917E. So these new subdivisions, these new types of development, regardless of their conventional or conservation type developments, they have some new rules. So we're trying to strengthen our new rules for new developments, regardless of their type. When we explored this, the planning board looked at kind of the definitions of Randall Arndt's concepts of what open space is and what counts as credit towards open space. So this text amendment kind of clarifies some of those rules as what counts as credits for open space, which is primary or secondary, basically if it has steep slopes versus if it's truly in a floodplain and unbuildable. We looked at that. And then one of the major things the planning subcommittee looked at and then went to the planning board to look at was increasing the open space requirement for developments. Currently, it's at 10%. 10% of the land needs to be preserved for these conventional types of development. We had looked at changing that to 20%, which would have been a significant increase. And ultimately, the planning board did not vote to add that 20%. They kept it at 10% as written. So that would have been the major impact of this development. That was not recommended by the planning board. So there's actually less text amendment than we had originally hoped to have or had planned to have. However, just the consequences of changing that open space requirement and doubling it, the planning board and staff agreed that needs some more time to discuss and to work out the implications of that. So in effect, this is a restructuring of our code that we hope to tweak throughout the next coming months and add more and more restrictions to new development. But this is a fundamental restructuring of what development rules apply to who.
So may I ask a question? If since you're talking about only new development, does I know you're mentioning like existing homeowners, residents. You don't want to exclude floodplains and that kind of thing. And so would this, even with a new development, constitute a taking of that property? Even though where I'm trying to go with this?
Yeah, as long as you're able to build on it and the land has value, it's not considered a regulatory taking. But if we were to say some of the extreme examples of saying you could only have 5% or 1 acre of floodplain on your property or something, somebody who already had 2, they're already violating that rule and they could not build on it anymore. But if somebody's building a new development, they're conditional zoning anyway. They have to meet the rules that we've established in order for the town to even consider it and approve it. So we have checkpoints in place for new development to make sure that they're voluntarily agreeing to the conditions that we're placing on it, including these new rules. So there can be a taking because they have a financial incentive to develop the land and there's money in the land.
Okay, so it can't be a taking. So
No.
Okay, that was my concern for new development.
So this does nothing to address the minimum amount of land that has to be outside the floodplain that we currently have?
Restructure, it has some minor tweaks to the language in regards to that.
There's one place that says 9,000, another place that says 10,000 outside the floodplain in our ordinances, which I don't see how that works with anything in Weddington.
Right, I think,
With no more sewer capacity effectively, how do you permit a lot that only has 10 or 12,000 square feet of land that you could put a septic tank on and a house?
yeah, and we try not to consider the septic tank issue for a couple of reasons, but
So is it getting caught by that?
that is part of it. It's been a tricky issue to accomplish, and I will be the first to admit this doesn't go as far as we want it to yet.
Yeah.
We're trying to get there, but we're trying to reach consensus of the subcommittee and the planning board. This is the first step into at least structuring where it can go.
You know, I've been the advocate that the 40,000 square feet should be buildable land if we're going to do this and have septic, because that's what we virtually have to have in this town anymore. The county's not running anything else. There's a few places here and there which you could make an exception for, you know, if there was sewer provided. But if you don't have sewer, how can we, you know, recognize a lot that is less than 40,000 square feet in an area not subject to typically flood?
And
That's where I have the problem.
And that's why we're trying to apply it to new developments.
I'm
They
talking
have to
about
do
new
the-
development.
yeah.
I'm talking about new development.
They should be, per our next amendment, per Appendix 2B, they should have done enough due diligence to where there's no question that
Yeah.
every single one of those lots have septic.
Yeah, because the same thing comes with submerged land. If you have somebody and they want to make the lot 40,000 square feet and 20,000 square feet's in the middle of the lake, I have the same problem there.
Yeah, we, particularly as a conditional zoning act, there's a lot of existing lots that their property line runs down the middle of a private pond. We're not going to allow those in a new type of subdivision. We're going to make that be common open space.
Yeah, but they look at it and say, well, I can do it. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure they know they can't do it. That's where I come from.
Yeah, and we hope
So
that,
there's no question that you can't count this stuff as part of a lot.
our hope is that the next text amendment will address those issues more strongly because they're more clearly
Yeah. Well,
listed as a checkbox.
Because you run into the septic problems with, submerged properties, floodplains, and very steep slopes, because steep slopes aren't conducive to, septic either. And I'm just trying to make sure somebody doesn't say, oh, I can build here. And then they're trying to shoehorn some kind of, oh, I can do a class 5 system here and it works.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm just trying to make sure we wrap everything around. This is a good start. I just want to see the next part, fill it in and finish it.
Agreed. I believe it's a start, definitely not a finish. I
Yeah.
think the best accomplishment from this is we have
Yeah.
consensus from our planning board members on what their responsibilities are, what they're looking for, and what they consider acceptable.
And the last thing, we want is, of course, this is a little different out there in Texas with the river, but we don't want to risk anybody with flooding or anything here. That's why we need to be strict and have all this worked out, because we don't to, risk residents or citizens, and their safety.
Yeah, the rain timed well with that comment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's pouring rain. So this is just a start, and we're going to continue in the next months to come to fine tune this, as Tom said.
Absolutely. Yeah, we haven't, per Tom's directive on some of this buildable land questions, I don't believe this solves it yet. We'll continue
Well,
working.
that's what the land use plan says, and that's
Yeah.
where I'm trying to get the
Okay.
two to match.
Now, I do have a question. I know you have, we're going to be talking in a few minutes, but you have sketch plans still here. Should it be schematic?
Yes, I think that I've noticed that because this occurred before we had the discussion on the ladder. And so the language is per what the planning board had adopted and staff had written. Yes, if you feel confident that both will be adopted tonight, I think it is acceptable to amend this to schematic to reflect consistency of the documents.
Yeah. Well,
It's kind of, you got a chicken and egg here.
yeah.
Well, you kind of do the approval condition upon if the terminology changes, it changes or something to that effect, Karen.
I'm fine with just putting it as schematic.
Just go ahead and put in schematic. Okay,
And we
okay,
can define that if we need to do an amendment to define that at some point. But
okay. And so you didn't have your mic, but you said you're fine with it. That's
yes,
cool.
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay, cool.
I'm fine
I know
with
it's in
that.
there a couple places. It's also in there too, Greg. In the red section here, that you have marked up. It's the minimum open space. You have it 20%, then you have 10% in parentheses, and you have that in a couple places. So which is it, 10 or 20? I know you talked about 10.
Yeah, it was originally
Do we need to
10.
fix that?
We had requested to be 20, and that was not the recommendation made by the planning board.
Yeah.
So that may be a continuity error. It would not change in this
Yeah.
amendment.
No, and I get that. I'm just pointing out that we need to tweak that right there.
Or should that be a conversation for us now? Do we wish to do 20% versus 10%?
You know, the county went to 30% for the county a while back. I would be good with 20%.
I would too. Because we're giving them 50% in the unbuildable area credit they can use, correct?
Correct.
Which effectively means it would be 10% if you couldn't use any of the unbuildable, correct?
Right.
I'd look at it either way. 10% exclude the unbuildable or 20% and allow 50% and you get to the same place.
Yeah, it's totally your decision. The original staff recommendation was 20. The planning board's recommendation was 10. You can choose either option.
What, do you know what their reasons were?
It's been 2 months since that meeting. I think just that dramatically impacts the layout and maybe the feasibility of it. It's just something, none of us were totally convinced that this was the final version of this document. And so we wanted to look at that maybe further, make additional edits. We didn't want to risk adding a 20% without revising the document again. But it was just easier to leave it at 10 to make sure we didn't have any unintended consequences. If it's
Well,
20.
both are written in there, 20 and 10. And it's like,
Yeah,
somebody's got to choose.
There's been a couple drafts of this. Yes, sir.
right.
The one we got has 20 written out and 10 in parentheses.
That's a typo.
That's what we got, several places in both this and the conservation one. They were in both of them.
Correct. I would lean toward 20% if we had to, go in a direction.
Oh, I would say the 20 as well. I don't know if there's a legal way to say, if we go ahead and pass it at 20 and then the planning board comes back with a very valid reason, as you said, the unintended consequences of that, and we go, oh, well, yeah, maybe the 10 was what we should have left it. If there's a way to go back and change it back to 10.
We can revisit.
But, revisit it, then yeah, I think that would be the way to go.
But the way
Yeah,
I see it
yeah.
is they gave them 50% of the unbuildable.
Oh, I
Which
agree.
basically
I agree with you.
made it, in my mind, it makes it 5%.
That's why I'm saying, let's go, I'm good with making it 20.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then with the codicil, that if the planning board, for whatever reason, their subcommittee, they discuss it and they go, hey, we just found this and that's probably not what we want, then we've still got a method to go back and
We always
correct
have
it.
to.
So-
Yeah, we could always do
Yeah,
that.
okay.
And say, hey, we found this blaring in our
Yeah,
face.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm good with 20.
Okay. All right. Okay, is there any other changes? I'd like to get a motion on 20, but are there any other thoughts, concerns about this before we go for a motion to accept this with this to change?
If I may just make sure, I'm sorry,
Yep.
I changed sketch to schematic and I changed the 10 to 20.
Correct. It'll be 20% open
In
space.
section D 917E B1.
Thank you, yes.
Correct.
Okay, yes.
It was written 20 and parentheses 20.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it should be, yeah. Brandon, I saw that you look like you're about to say something.
Yeah, I think earlier when I identified my conflict, I think that I said 12A. I don't have a conflict with 12A, which means I have an obligation to vote. I have a conflict with 12C, but I didn't want to vote on this and have there be any confusion.
Gotcha, okay. Okay, all right. Can I get no more discussion on this as it is, except,
Do we have any members of the public who want to speak?
yes,
Was there any public-
there's no one, so no one signed up for a
I'll make
public.
motion that we accept.
But I'm gonna close
You
public
close
comment,
public
so
comment.
just be on the record,
Motion
yes.
and close. I make
Yes.
a motion we accept the text amendment as amended
Okay,
with schematic and 20.
okay. All in favor with that?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous, so we'll move forward with that. Okay, thank you, guys.
Mayor, you will need the statement of reasonableness and consistency. to be
Yes, yes, and can I get a motion to accept the, can I get a motion to adopt the consistency statement as presented by staff?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor? All right, so unanimous, thank you. All right.
So many of.
Yes.
Which one is this one?
This is the discussion, consideration of text amendment 2025A, Appendix 2B, submittal requirements. Okay? And I'm going to open public hearing as Greg, go ahead and take the floor.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. This is more straightforward. This is a complete revocation and replacement of our Appendix 2B submittal requirements. This is the checklist that both staff and with the understanding of the Planning Commission, we all look at when determining completeness of a project. So there has been much discussion about that topic previously. The subcommittee's solution, which is a complete reworking of Appendix 2B, is to remove our existing matrix and replace it with a new one. It has approximately 67 items that would need to be checked off either at the schematic plan process, which Rusty, our planning board member, gave a presentation on that concept at a previous meeting, and then as well as at the final plat process when you're doing the legal document to subdivide the land. So the schematic plan would be required to be submitted to the planning board. The planning board as well as staff would need to determine if those items are met per that checklist, and that would move on to the town council. The intention of having this new checklist is that we can clearly state that staff and the planning board looked at all 67 of these items and we find that they are here or not here. And now you as the town council can have clarity in your votes of whether it's complete or not. This
But ideally, we wouldn't get it if it weren't there,
correct.
right? Okay.
The during the public hearing and not the public hearing. The public hearing is an additional checkpoint, but during the planning board meeting, the planning board is understood to be reviewing this checklist specifically to make sure it meets all those items. If there's something deficient, the planning board member would mention that on record and state that they either need to table the item or deny it if something is absent.
Gotcha. Okay. Before we move forward, I'm going to close public hearing. Okay. Public hearing is closed. Jeff, you look like you were about to say something.
No. It's just, I think anything that would bring clarity to what a completed plan is supposed to be is what we've needed for quite a while. And I'm glad to see it coming to fruition.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Brandon or Darcy, anything from you guys, comments?
Nothing to add that hadn't already been said.
Okay. Tom?
No, I'm fine.
Well, I will ask this under B37. So identification and delineation of proposed septic systems, including location of drain fields, repair areas, and associated infrastructure, if applicable. That, I know this, that's in there, right? I mean, it's sort of in parentheses here versus the others. Was that like an afterthought type thing?
That was put in that format just to highlight that this is a revision of the original draft created by the subcommittee. These were originally 2 items that addressed this topic. The recommendation of the planning board was to combine those into one column or one point with this exact specific language as one of the conditions of approval. So this is to indicate that this is the only item that basically changed from the subcommittee draft to the recommendation provided by the planning board.
Okay. In my oversight, and I made a mistake, the public hearing, Chad did sign up for a public hearing. I want to open that back up so Chad can come speak. Public hearing's back open. Chad, so come on up. I apologize. I just overlooked that, and I knew it from earlier, so my apologies.
Good evening, Chad Emerine, 953 Eagle Road. I wanted to speak about the updates on the requirements. I think the committee did a great job clarifying the terminology and making it even more clear. I do have a concern on what you were just mentioning as far as the septic requirement. I don't understand how we've had many changes in here are more strict in this draft, and we've lowered the definition as far as the way it reads in terms of septic. Right now, we require Union County environmental health approval in this current version of the UDO and in previous versions. This update does not state that requirement now. It basically describes all the things you need to get Union County approval without saying you need to turn in the approval. We should not change that. That opens up gray areas that we're cleaning up with all the other parts in here. All we need to do is have Union County septic approval or an NOI form, which is the equivalent documentation if they go through the engineered option permit process and bypass the county. That form's turned into the county and serves as the approval letter. Keystone, who was here tonight, recently did this step and they were approved. And we know that all 11 lots will work and they were perked and fits in the approved plan that council approved. If you don't keep that verbiage in there and add the NOI equivalent, then you could open the door to incomplete plans that could impact the lot layout of the neighborhood. Since the developer is doing this work already, they need to turn into the county or the NOI documentation. It's proof the work is done, just like basic stormwater calculations. As a council, you need to know this is a buildable layout that of course could shift lot lines slightly, but will fully comply with our UDO. We don't need developers losing time and money, as well as using up the town's resources for revisions, reapprovals. It's an easy step to just have that requirement. It's already in the current UDO in Appendix 2. In fact, like Greg mentioned, it's stated twice essentially in our current checklist. It's been required, never challenged, so it should have that verbiage of the original version. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Is anyone else we missed for public comment or public hearing on this before I close it again? Okay. Closing public hearing. Thank you, Chad. No, and that's exactly where I was going to go as well. And that was a concern I had is also having the NOI added to that, incorporated into that, because I think it gives more detail is to the process. And I know the engineer doesn't EOP, but then it goes to the county and the state or the state for an NOI, which will come back with a lot more information on that. And that's what I think Chad is saying as well. And I feel that we need more. The reason we're doing this is to get more information, not less. So I feel like this area here primarily is a little bit more watered down than what we intended. So I would love to be able to add that requirement to this. Any comments?
I agree with what you're saying, that, we need to go ahead and nail it down. My only question is that an amendment we can, or verbiage change we can do here? Do we want to table it and send it back to the committee, the planning board folks, to work out the wording and then bring us back a clean package that, has gone through the wickets again. And I'm just asking the question. So, but I agree with nailing this down and making sure the verbiage is specific.
Is it proper to take a question from a planning board member?
We ought to close the public
Information.
It's probably-
Informational.
It's really a
Open the public
statement.
hearing again.
Do I open public hearing again?
I'm fine. This is a text amendment. I'm perfectly.
Okay, Bill, would you come up? And so we can have you on mic. Because I agree with Jeff. Do we just send it back? Do we do this
Like
now?
I said, I agree with the concept. I just want to know.
Yeah,
which
and I
method
agree
we're
with you
gonna
too.
use.
Yeah.
I was kind of cautiously raising my hand. I really just wanted to add a clarification.
Right.
That section, I'm going from memory here, it says delineation. Am I correct? Versus location.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And the thought process was location is here. Delineation is specific layout of where it is.
Okay.
And the if applicable would be if it's septic. If it's sewer, it wouldn't apply. So that's what the intent was, to combine those. We added delineation as a specific markings of where it is versus location. That was the thought behind it.
Right. And I guess my thought is, with that NOI, it gives you much more detailed information of what that structure is, as opposed to location and the layout type thing.
That would be part of the delineation. At least that was the intent. Maybe it didn't make
Well, I
it
think that
clear
if
enough.
that was the intent, then it's like, can we not just spell it out without having to send it back, and so that no one has to question what delineation versus location is? Like, can you not just add with the NOI or
I would just say that the planning board discussed this particular line at length and came to this conclusion that this was the best language. If it needs to be amended, the planning board has made their peace and come to agreement that this is the best way they'd like to put it.
I don't know if it would help to say specific delineation. I mean, that, again, we were trying to get all the stuff to be required for the NOI.
I think
And
if
the
all
if
of us,
applicable is, if it's septic, if it's sewer, it wouldn't be applicable.
I think if it wasn't clear to all of us, then maybe we need to revisit just the way it's written, because we want it to be clear so that it is a yes or a no. You know what I'm saying? It's not that we're disagreeing with the planning board. If we didn't understand
Yeah, I agree.
the way it was
Developer's not
written.
either.
Right.
And I'm not trying to push this off, but we want good, clear information in the checklist so that there's no confusion, there's no question. You don't get to some point where someone has an application and they say, well, we did this, and it needs to be very clear. And I'm not sure that writing it on the fly right now is going to get the clarity that that we want in that checklist.
Can it be accepted as presented with the exception of that item to be
yes.
adjusted at the next meeting? I'm just trying to think of getting it in, and I'll
Yes,
sit down.
agreed. I
Right.
agree
No,
with
no,
that.
and I agree with that as well.
Is that possible that we can
Sure.
approve it with the exception of that?
Yeah. And then they would have, but we would have to go through the text amendment process to get it re-added.
Can
So-
we not just add like a little bit of verbiage to make it,
To add NOI to it, to the
yes,
requirement of a
and then pass it?
notice of intent to construct.
Like
Yeah,
we,
I feel like we're talking about two separate things. So it's that, and I don't, just forgive me if I'm wrong. So it sounds like the planning board included everything that a developer would need to show to the county to get an approval, either through an NOI or through the system. And what the council's looking for is we actually want that letter from the county.
Correct, correct. Yes.
Is there a reason that the planning board opted not to include the actual acquisition of the county approval prior as part of this checklist? I'm just asking that question.
The county's not always, and it's typically now not the approval body. It's goes to the NOI through the
Up to
state.
the state.
But it could be stated and/or the state they go through the engineered option.
Right.
There has to be verbiage for that, isn't there, Greg?
However you want to word it.
No, I'm just saying there, I assume that you would be aware of verbiage that would cover that. I'm just, because I'm not dead familiar enough with that to include verbiage, but
We need to include it for the,
the state engineered option. You showed you filed for it and their engineer does whatever.
Right, and I guess my question is, I think our old checklist required approval from the county,
Yes.
and that is not included in anymore. Is there a reason why we removed that acquisition of the county or state approval from this requirement, instead just required the background information? Am I making sense?
Well, the previous version specifically said the county and only the county. So that's
Can we not
obsolete.
just add state or county? Like, like we changed the fee schedule on 3 areas, but we still passed it. Can we not just add that and then pass it with the addition?
If the intention is to make it so the town council, who's the ultimate voting body, understands and recognizes what you're looking for, you can tweak it to have any language you need.
well, and it's like, I agree with Brandon, if we're having a hard time understanding it, I want to make it plain and simple for anybody, developer, whoever. So if we have that NOI, that EOP, whatever, from the state or county, then we have it here, and there's no.
Well, I think we're all in agreement. We want the NOI language in there. The problem we're having right now, I think, is the language. And that's why at this point, based on what I'm hearing my colleagues talk about, I think we should have it the proper way. Table it. Let the planning board's meeting this month. Hopefully this will not be a big correction. But that way, we're not doing this on the fly here right now. And how do we want it to
But
sound?
then she said that's another text amendment. It'll have to go through the whole.
If we,
no,
not if we just say the
table
whole
it,
thing.
if we table it and send the whole thing back and just say, look at this section, nail down this language about the NOI. We look at it in August and then vote for it, and bam, we've got everything we need.
Is that going to cause any problems for any future projects that's going on right now?
But I think a comment was made earlier that even if a project was submitted prior to adoption of this checklist, you're going to want them to have adherence to this checklist regardless under the conditional zoning rules. So it sounds like even delaying this, you're still going to hold everyone to it.
Could you do that, just make sure everybody follows that, as the.
I'll let them know that that's the town council's opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then if you do that, then I would be okay with tabling
And that
it.
way, it's like you said, Brandon, it's a clean document.
Yeah.
We can make one
Yeah.
vote, and we're not sitting here in the next 10 minutes trying to.
Yeah. I want to
Get the
make sure we
language,
get
yeah.
everything, and we don't miss anything.
Right.
Let me ask one other question. So with that thought on that, I know we've talked a lot about stormwater and calculations and whatnot in past. Is that pretty well covered in what you have seen? And I think we've seen that.
There was a check mark for it in here, I believe. There's so many things in here.
I see B42 as preliminary calculations of proposed
Yeah.
impervious surface runoff volume and proportionally sized BMP ponds.
Yeah.
That would make you
That's
feel
it.
good?
That's what you expect, right, Greg?
That has been strengthened, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, all right, then I'm good with that. So tabling it till August.
With an instruction to staff and planning board to clarify the septic system checkbox.
Primarily B37.
Mhm. And now, again, I think what I'm hearing 2 separate things. I'm hearing this council wants the approval letter from the state or the county,
Correct.
whichever.
But
system they're
NOI
taking.
and I think EOP is,
And that was not included in this document here. So I think that's part of the instruction is to get that included. Is
Correct.
that accurate?
correct.
Okay.
Where the current draft says we want the information, what the council is more explicitly asking is we want the document. We want the approval document.
Correct, from state or county. And my question is, EOP is prior to that, then the EOP is filled out, then sent, and then NOI, correct me if I'm wrong, is without that information on it. So if we got an NOI, we're covered, correct?
Notice of intent would show that they have done their due diligence and have started the process.
Okay, so we'd have all the information we're looking for. Okay, all right. Can I get a motion to table it till next time, to August, and run this through the planning board?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. So, okay. All right. So now we're up to the next items, discussion of the downtown overlay. And Jeff, I'm going to let you take
Okay,
off with
well,
this.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, let me say that I am proud to be bringing this subject up because it's the right thing to do. And in my book, there's not a time limit on trying to get the right thing done. I want to basically, this evening, I provided some copies of a couple of maps to my fellow council members. I left some out here for the public. Next Tuesday at 5 o'clock in this room, I will be here to discuss this subject with anybody that would like to come out and discuss it with me. And I look forward to that opportunity because, again, I believe this is the right thing to do. So I am simply going to read this letter for the record and then hope to see folks here next Tuesday. And then I will formally bring up my request at our August meeting. So let me begin. As many of you already know, I will soon be asking the town council to begin the process of amending the current downtown overlay to include the Polivka property. When I bring this up initially, it will be to get approval to start the process, which will then run through the planning board and then town council for a final vote. In both instances, there will be public hearings to allow interested residents to express their views. Let me take a little time here to present the information regarding my proposal. I'm including some town maps, which I hope will prove useful to you. And if you're watching this online, or even if you're here tonight, these will be, as part of the record for the meeting, they'll be available on the town webpage for you to go and take a look at. First, the intent of the downtown overlay was to restrict brick and mortar commercial operations to our town center. Now, we do not have a town center as such. Most folks, I would say, believe that the intersection here of 84 and 16 would be the historic center of town, since the original Weddington United Methodist Church building is still located there. But after Weddington Corner Shopping Center was built, with the gymnastics center adjacent, the overlay area was drawn around these properties and also includes 2 additional properties which are currently zoned residential. About 12 years ago, Mr. Polivka approached the town about getting an existing residential lot located across the street from the shopping center rezoned for commercial use. In the end, it was rezoned, but they did not approve all the buildings he originally wanted, but allowed him to build the existing office building. There were no restrictions placed to prevent him from requesting more buildings in the future. Now, I believe it was an oversight for the council that approved this zoning change to not also amend the overlay map. They should have, especially since the overlay contains 2 parcels zoned as residential. Making this change is the logical thing to do at this point. Mr. Polivka wanted to build 2 more smaller office buildings on the remainder of his property. But in January of this year, by a 2-to-1 vote, the council voted down this proposal based primarily on the overlay map. I would point out several facts that I believe strongly support my position. First, Please refer to the attached maps for details. And again, if hopefully you got something you can pass around out there. First, the Polifka property is in our town center. The only thing separating it from the overlay is 4 lanes of asphalt. Second, the property is already zoned commercial, just like the shopping center located across the street. No rezoning is being proposed. Third, the Polifka property is landlocked. There is no room for further expansion. The Hunter Farm, a conservancy property, is located on one side and Weddington United Methodist on the other. I believe that my proposal is reasonable based on these simple facts. Just look at the maps. And I would also say, look to see what areas are zoned commercial in that big map of Weddington. Finishing up here, every taxpayer in Weddington deserves to be treated fairly. This applies whether you own a single family home in an established neighborhood or you own commercial property located across from our town center. It is only fair to allow Mr. Polifka to have the full and best use of the property he owns here in town. He should be able to make requests in the future that will be judged on their merits and not rejected because of being on the other side of a street. Any suggestions that my proposal is an attempt to expand commercial property across town is simply not true, period. As my proposal gets closer to being presented to council, I have scheduled a time at Town Hall when I will be available to discuss this idea in person with anyone who is interested. This will be on Tuesday, the 22nd of July at 5 p.m. I highly encourage anyone with concerns to drop by, especially all the folks that spoke tonight. I would really enjoy the chance for a one-on-one talk about this. I will be glad to speak to you, and I appreciate your time, and I look forward to discussing this matter further. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff. Any comments, discussion on this at this point?
Well, this is going to be discussed next meeting, correct? So
Yeah.
really,
I will be
no
making
reason
my
for-
Right,
There's no reason for discussion tonight, correct?
correct.
Okay.
But it is open if we wanted to.
Yeah.
But no, you know, something that's, and you know how I say commercial is to the residents of Weddington. So what I would like to have is you know, in August, have open for
Yes,
comment for all the residents to come out and comment about
Absolutely.
this. And I'd also like for the council to be unified in either direction. And I'd like to take a vote, whether we go forward, you know,
Well,
with
that's
it
what we're
or
going
not.
to have to do, because
Right.
I explained at the retreat, the first step is I'm going to make a formal proposal with a presentation in
Right.
August to get a majority vote to direct staff to draft the language to change
Start the
this
process.
this outline. At that point, it goes to the planning board
Correct.
for their review, their scrutiny, their judgment, public hearing, public comments,
Mhm.
and then they will take a vote to either say, yeah, Jeff, we think that's a good idea, or no, Jeff, you're full of it.
Yeah.
And then it will come to us. And then we will have another public hearing, and then we can discuss it. And then we'll take a vote and see where it falls.
Right. No, because it's, you know, I definitely want residents
Absolutely.
of input
Absolutely.
either way. And so, so we'll do that. We'll have
Yep.
input, public hearing, and we'll have a vote. So, okay. Anything else to be said on this before we move forward? Okay. Yeah, well, so we'll look at it in August. Discussion of environmentally sensitive area designations. This is, I think, was
brought
Tom.
this up because in the land use plan we approved, it says that council can designate environmentally sensitive areas that would be basically restricted from development. Now, I'm no environmental expert, but I believe we need to engage a firm that can look at the areas in town that could be environmentally sensitive and recommend them to council. I don't know if it has to go to planning board first or not. I have no idea what the process is. But how would it be? So we know, one, what we have and what we should protect. Could be very sensitive wetlands, could be the eagle nest. You just name a number of different things that it could be. But unless we do a survey, we don't really have that in hand. So this would start the process to get that done so we know what we actually have.
If I may, Mayor Pro Tem,
What's that?
if I may interrupt
Yes.
for a moment, we have 3 engineering firms that we are going to move forward into contract negotiation with, and one of them is an environmental specialist.
Well, that
We
is
thought
very
would
good.
be perfect for this.
That'd
So
be
as we move forward with the contract negotiations for an on-call contract,
Yep.
I feel like that would be covered. We can move
Yeah.
forward with them.
I think this is just informational purposes to see what we have and see what we may need to do. Because I worry about the national developers with their blanket ability to do whatever they want to do on wetlands and come back and say we mitigated somewhere else and left us with a mess, or took a area with some very sensitive plants and we ended up with them being bulldozed over or whatnot unnecessarily. And if we can protect those things, we ought to.
Right.
So where I previously lived, I was on a creek, and the area just above me was a monstrous fern garden that was there, and had some unique plants in it. And unfortunately, the city decided to put a sewer line right through it and destroyed the whole thing. But there was no protection, and the Corps says, oh, you got this blanket, you can do whatever you want to do. And I don't want that happen to us. You know, I want it to be, if there's certain areas that we should protect, that we do it. And just so that's where I am. And if you're having, one of these consultants is an expert in the area, I think we ought to find out what it's going to cost us to do this and get it moving.
Okay. And do we need to have a vote to get you to look into this, or the direction? Do we need to?
No, we're going to be bringing you contracts
from
3 firms.
So you're just
Okay.
going to add this into what you're kind of looking at.
Yeah, and if you all just want to give if council has
Is this a head
consensus,
nod?
this could be a head nod, I think, on this one, that we start the process of engaging an environmental firm, but again, lots more to come back to you on scope and price and what have you, but at least we'll start the process of moving forward with this concept.
And you don't know until you ask, and that's my thing with everything, at least ask and check into it. It may be something we could do or not, but we need to know the figures.
And even then, if they do the work, they may say, well, you ain't got much here or whatever, or you do. What we don't know, we don't know.
Right. No, you're
And
exactly
that's the
right.
point. And I'm trying to make us line up with the land use plan. That's the whole point of it.
And they may have maps that we aren't even aware of
Yeah.
that give a general outline or,
Oh, they
lay
probably
out
do.
the
They
core
can see
maps and everything.
That, but then they're probably going to have to do on the ground
Absolutely.
research to see what really is there.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So are we good on that? More discussion? Okay.
Head
All right.
nods.
Head nods on that one. Okay. All right. So we're going to move forward for the discussion, possible approval of resolution 2025-05 opposing SB 205. And as you guys remember, last month, a month before last, we did a resolution opposing HB 765, which would be, and I know Jeff talked about it a good bit, and even had WUMA discussion about that, which was really, really good. And now it's reared its ugly head over into SB 205. I think they eliminated a few things, but they still are doing a lot of damage. And so right now, as we've discussed, it's sort of stuck because of public pressure. It's sort of paused in committee. but it still is not dead and still could come out of committee. Is what I've told. Even had a discussion with. There was a discussion. It was a meeting with the Union GOP this past Thursday with Representative Dean Art, Mark Brody, Susanna Wedra, and Brian Helms on a panel. And I'm just be honest with you, Mark Brody, he's dug in with it, and he's there, and this is what it should be. Representative Arp, he's trying to put the brakes on it, and he's not dug in. He's trying to help us out here. So what I would like to do, and I want to open this for discussion too, with you guys, introduce a resolution opposing SB 205 as well. And with that being said, Jeff, you want to jump in?
Yes, we need to pass this resolution. This threat is real. It has been growing this is not the first year this has happened. If you go back and look at bills that the legislature has proposed over the last couple of years, they've been trying to sneak things in kind of under the radar. But for whatever reason, it seems that this year they are shooting for the moon. They threw everything in, and they are trying to get as much as they can. In addition to us passing this resolution, for the folks that are here in the room, for the folks that are watching at home, you need to write ARP. You need to write Willis. You need to write Brody. All the legislative folks from our county here in Union County, Todd Johnson especially, write them. You can go on the legislative webpage and see who the sponsor of the bill is. Write them. They pay, it's one thing when the mayor tells an elected representative, well, we don't want this. But when they get feedback from the residents, that carries a lot of weight. And so please, it's not just us passing this tonight. The folks watching, the folks here, you've got some homework to do too.
Go ahead.
If this passes, it would effectively undo everything we have done in our zoning planning process, and we would have virtually no power, and developers would basically have their way with our town.
And I know they took the 5 lots per acre out, but they still came back and said the yield plan, and so without going into all the detail, you could end up having 5 houses per acre with that yield plan, where they've got it worked. So they just worked it at a different angle. They've taken away public input. Folks come here and comment, and we appreciate that and need the input. And so they're taking
the
that
other
away.
thing you got to remember too, folks, and I believe you told me about this term, Karen. If this passes, then they don't even have to come and ask permission. It's called, what's the term? It's called
It's by right.
By
an
right.
Administrative process
all
by
their-
right.
it's an administrative, it becomes an administrative process. We don't have a say anymore. And so,
Right.
it's,
No, and if it doesn't get passed in 90 days or get through the process, it's automatically approved, whatever it is. And so, we could spend on and on talking about the numerous bad parts of this bill, but it's just taking it that it's devastating for people who know about
Is
it.
there a super simple way to get information, like if through our website legally, like if you say, click here for bill blank, and then it goes straight to who people need to email? Anything we can do to make it simple for people would be good, so they don't have to do an extra step of finding whoever they have to contact.
Do we have our delegation on our website?
I believe we do,
We do. Okay. Phone number and email address, that kind of
at
thing.
least email address.
Just email address.
I believe so.
Okay. All right.
So
But I'll
email,
bring it out front so that,
and
put it-
again,
I'll put
if
it
you
on.
haven't been
Email
on
us.
the NG legislative webpage, it's very simple. All you got to do is look up county and all of our folks
Right.
pop up.
Right.
And you can click on their name and it'll pull you up a block to start typing to them.
Yeah, and I just Google it and say,
Yep.
Union County, delegation,
Mhm.
and all of them pop up.
Yep.
So, okay. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the opposition to SB 205?
So moved.
So moved. Okay, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. And we are definitely opposing SB 205, and we'll send that out to all of our delegation. Okay, so I'm going to move forward to code enforcement report. And go ahead, guys.
The weekly report, the latest weekly report is in your packets. We are working diligently to abate, sorry, I couldn't think of the word, some of the perpetual violators. So we're working to get the invoices out and we're going to have to contract somebody to clean them up.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, we're good for that. Update from the finance officer and tax collector. Leslie, I want to get you to take the mic because I might have a couple questions for you.
You have in your packets the financial statements for June. That is the last month of the fiscal year. I do want to caution you that they are preliminary statements. There's still a lot of receivables and payables that still have to be posted. So, and I know you had some questions.
Okay. I want to go back to our what am I trying to say here? Our budget, approving our budget, and what we did with the solid waste collection, combining it with our taxes, with our property tax rate.
Right.
And I want to get you to explain and correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. We did that. First of all, municipalities, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. Municipalities are given a certain amount of money from the state on the amount of tax revenue you collect. And sometimes, you may be rewarding, I'm going to say it this way, bad behavior from a municipality who maybe has a exorbitant tax rate versus one who has a lower property tax rate. These guys will get a lot more money than these guys who, in my opinion, are keeping prices down, or keeping taxes down, I should say. And so these guys, it's sort of a backwards type situation. So with keeping in what we did was, and also what we did, we combined the two. So for simplicity, and also it would secure the funding from the state. Otherwise, we were going to take what? Do you know how much that hit was if we had not done that?
We were estimating that we could take a potentially $250,000 hit.
Yeah.
And the revenues that we collected based on those state collected utility franchise sales tax that come to us, the county has the option to distribute those based on population or ad valorem taxes. And Union County does it based on taxes. So we get a proportion based on what our taxes are to everybody else in the county. So if we go down, we get less.
Correct.
So, right.
So if we just kept them separate, we'd have taken $250,000 hit. You're paying it anyway, so why not just combine it over
Right.
here, and we don't take that hit.
Right. If we went strictly revenue neutral in anticipation that not everybody else is going to do that, we predicted that our percentage would go down. And so we tried to structure our revenue neutral so that we maintain the same level that we were already getting. And by incorporating solid waste, ad valorem revenues, and those state revenues, in total, we think we'll have the same revenues we would have had we not adjusted the tax rate.
So basically, way I see it, so we're not doing a tax increase. We're just combining this over to this, keeping the same revenue.
Yes.
What we had before.
The budget is to have the same amount of revenues as we would have had if there was no revaluation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and also, we were finding also that at closing, people sold their homes, they were paying taxes due in a lot of cases. I can't say every time, but the trash collection, solid waste was sitting out here and it was getting missed. It was not getting paid. So with our contract with active, we were having to take the hit. The town was having to pay their tax fee because they didn't pay it at closing.
Correct.
And so that was another reason to combine them together. That way the town, the other residents aren't having to pay the trash fee for people that didn't pay it at closing. Am I correct?
That's correct. And the other piece of that is that when we had a fee, we had to set the fee to cover the cost. So we were always going to collect essentially more than what the actual cost was. But by incorporating in the tax rate, we're only applying to the actual cost. If we collect more in fees than we spend, we have to put that in reserve and spend it only on solid waste. Where if it's in the tax rate, any extra income that may come in can be spent anywhere. So
Gotcha. Okay. So really, we're not adding cost to the residents by doing this. We're flat.
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So there's no tax increase. Okay.
Right.
I just want to make sure because I think there was some confusion out there that we're jacking up our taxes by doing this, but it's not correct.
And I will caveat that where, excuse me, I was coughing, so I have a cough drop. That is in total. Individuals may see a difference.
Gotcha.
But it's in
But
town,
overall for the
townwide
town-
and total.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you so much. Anybody have any questions for Leslie while she's there? Thank you so much. Appreciate
Look
it.
forward to the final numbers. It looks like y'all managed it well.
Yes. We still hear reports that Weddington is one of the best run towns and we keep bragging on you. So keep it up. Update from town planner and town administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just note that, we had the presentation for one developer this evening. We anticipate there being a presentation by a second developer at your next meeting. We basically have two active applications for subdivisions in town that will be going to the planning board shortly. So keep an eye on that in regards to public hearings and public participation. There's two strong active cases for future development. I would also note that I don't know what's going on with the housing market, but we have multiple requests for the release of bonds by existing subdivisions that have been completed or are nearing completion. They're all asking for their bond money at once, and it's a large sum of money. Of course, the town council is the only authority to release those funds, but I would anticipate next month there be at least several of those applications and basically withdrawal request or bond requests being presented to you to release those funds. So just be prepared that questions about the status of a subdivision, is it complete? Has there been inspections? Has LaBelle been out there recently? Has Greg been out there recently? Have those questions ready. There are several bond releases active.
Okay. All right. Great.
Do you know which subdivisions they're like, or can you email us or?
I can email them to you.
Give us a heads up.
It's half a dozen. It's a lot. It's basically everything that's been done in the past couple of years is all requesting the release of funds.
Yeah.
Okay, an email would be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That'd be great. Thank you. Anything else? Nothing? Okay. Transportation report. CRPTO continues to move forward. Conversations about the I-77, I'm going to call it expansion, the toll, the express lanes. They're starting to move forward for looking at outside vendors for that. It's the largest road project North Carolina has ever done. Right now, it stands for that 11 miles from downtown past Carowinds to the state line. It stands around $3.2 billion for 11 miles of highway. It's a lot of money. And like I said, the state can't cover it. The state only allocates something like $600 million for a project. Nowhere close to covering that. And in fact, there's a push, from transportation to try to get our legislators to up that because we can't, with the cost of highways now, you can't cover that. You know, there's no way 600 million is going to even come close to 3.2 billion. And so, so long story short, they're wanting to, we're looking at all the things that was done wrong on the north side, and not make those same mistakes, even with tolls, the expensive tolls that are being charged up there, and not do the same things down here. And I've spoken out against that in past months, that, you know, the tolls have to be worked out, and have to make it more inviting for folks to use those lanes, because even up the north, sometimes they'll, the non-toll part, people will be backed up and there's nobody over here because this is like, you know, crazy expensive. So anyway, we're trying to work that out, but that's going into the process of looking for vendors and getting bids on that kind of thing. And it will probably take 7 or 8, 10 years to build it once it starts. So anyway, long story short, that's where it's at. Council comments. Anybody want to go first?
Ladies first.
I'll be brief. I just wanted to thank Rotary for the flag display that they did for the 4th. It always looks so nice and reflects nicely on the town, but really it's Rotary. So thank you to Rotary, and thank you to town staff for your work.
And I had to miss last month's meeting in June, and I am blown away with how much has gotten done in the last 60 days. So not only the staff, who's been amazing, and Greg, but our planning board and subcommittees with all the text amendment changes and the code enforcement list. I've never seen that so short since I've started. The fees, I know that was a lot of work. You guys have just done some incredible things, and I'm super appreciative to get things heading in a good direction.
Yep.
No, thank everybody who came out tonight, stayed till after 9 o'clock, and hopefully missed the thunderstorm. But I want to thank staff for all their efforts. The planning board, the subcommittee, yes, we have in the last, I'd say, 90 to 120 days moved the ball really forward on the UDO, and got a lot of things fixed that should have been fixed a long time ago. And hopefully in the next 60 to 90 days, we're going to fix a good bit more of it to where this is a tight ship. And really appreciate what staff has done. And Greg, I know it takes a lot to move all those ordinances through, so I appreciate that. Karen, I always appreciate your advice. And other Karen, thank you for keeping us all straight.
Well, this is going to be repetitive, but thank you to staff. You said it earlier, Mayor, we've got the best staff of any municipality in this state. I would stack any of you up with anybody, anywhere, anytime. And this town is lucky to have y'all here. Thanks to the planning board. You guys have done yeoman's work, Bill, and it's looking good. We're finally getting to where we're getting some of these things taken care of. So please, not just for me, but tell the folks that aren't here how much we appreciate that work, because that's tough. Thank you for the folks that are here. Thank you for the folks that are watching, and I look forward to next Tuesday afternoon at 5.
Yep. No, and I want to say thank you too, you know, Bill, planning board, subcommittee, you know, and staff, you know, you guys have, you know, knocked it out of the park, and we've done a lot in the last, I don't know, 6 months to a year. And we've got a lot more to go that we're tightening up the ship here. But whenever we can brag on the staff, we're going to do it. And I want to read a letter here that I was privy to this past week. It's about Karen Dewey, our town clerk, town of Weddington, North Carolina, honored by the North Carolina Association of Municipal Clerks. Karen Dewey, town clerk of the town of Weddington, North Carolina, has been awarded the prestigious designation of North Carolina Certified Municipal Clerk from the North Carolina Association of Clerks, along with the School of Government of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, for achieving its high educational experience and service requirements. As an established member of the North Carolina Association of Municipal Clerks, Ms. Dewey was among the class of municipal clerks from North Carolina who received her most recent state designation in 2020. And after meeting extensive continuing education requirements has again been awarded the North Carolina Certified Municipal Clerk designation through June 2030. The North Carolina Association of Municipal Clerks is a professional organization of city, town, and village clerks from across the state dedicated to the continued growth and development of clerks and their municipalities. Established in November 1975, the association, among other things, promotes educational and professional development opportunities for municipal clerks to enhance their knowledge and effectiveness. This is no small task, considering the wide array of duties performed by municipal clerks, which often vary from municipality to municipality. The association partners with the North Carolina League of Municipalities, the School of Government of University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and the International Institute of Municipal Clerks to meet the needs of each individual municipal clerk. The North Carolina Certified Municipal Clerk Program is a 5-year designation with requirements for continuing education to sustain and develop the ever-changing knowledge of the profession of municipal clerks. The North Carolina Association of Municipal Clerks, together with the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, strives to promote educational and professional development to enhance the clerk. This certification program was developed with the assistance of the UNC School of Government at Chapel Hill and is administrated in cooperation with the School of Government. Qualifications of applicants are reviewed and approved by the state committee. Certificates are presented at the annual summer conference in August. I want to say thank you, Karen. Thank you. Yay. Awesome job. Good work. So we're proud of our staff. Just like Jeff said, we have the best. So, and they are always willing to help, go beyond to help us when we need help, and that's often, and to keep us straight. And even our Karen here keeps us straight. So thank everyone involved. So thank you. And Leslie, like I said earlier, you keep us rolling with one of the best run towns in the state. So thank you. So with that said, anybody else have anything to say before we adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, all in favor? All right, we adjourn. Thank you guys for coming out.
You didn't tell us about that, Karen. You didn't.
She's so hungry.